Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Growth Pro Edge. It is January, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2026 and welcome to our very first episode of the Growth Pro Edge. I'm Denise Killian with the Growth Pro Group, and I'm thrilled to be here with you this week. Thank you so much for coming. Before we begin, we of course want to thank our sponsors for the Growth Pro Edge for 2026. We appreciate their support, which helps us to bring you a new episode each and every week. Here at the Growth Pro Group, we're all about growth. And that only happens when we take a break from the doing and spend just a little bit of time thinking. And that's where the Growth Pro Edge comes in. Each week, we'll talk about issues that impact our growth for our teams, for our business, and for ourselves. We're really thrilled to have you here with us this week. And we're having two very special guests for our inaugural podcast. Of course, Beth Standlee, our CEO, trainer, Tainment founder, and founder of the Growth Pro Edge, and Kelley, our new CEO for the Growth Pro Edge. We're thrilled to talk about the genesis of this podcast as well as the Growth Pro Group and how we want to help you grow your teams and yourself and your business. So let's go ahead and get started and join Candi and Beth. Oh my goodness, I could not be more thrilled to have both Beth Standlee and Kelley here for our very first official podcast. Welcome, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
All right. So as we get started, my friends, most folks out there know you two legends, but let's go ahead and start and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're joining us today. Beth, let's start with you.
Well, I'm Beth Standlee, chairwoman and founder of the Growth Pro Group and Trainertainment. Have been in this particular space for more than 20 years. I'm a mom of three amazing kiddos and happen to get to be the visionary of the most brilliant people I've ever had the opportunity to work with. So there you go. That's me in a nutshell. And I love to cruise. How's that?
Candi?
Yes, my name is Kelley. I joined Beth in 2019. Before that, I have been in hospitality since I was 13 years old, uh, doing different things from concession stands all the way to restaurants until I switched over to the entertainment sector. Um, when I'm not working and helping clients, I am a mom of two and a PTO treasurer and a soccer coach a lot of times. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
So I love that there's so much that you guys have done really your whole lives that is in the genre of being of service to others and helping others. From, Beth, I know you coached your kids in
Sure.
their softball and basketball and baseball and all of the things, right? Candi, you've coached your girls in soccer and starting in hospitality at 13. My goodness, that's all about service to others.
Yeah.
And so I want to start with this introduction of the Growth Pro Group, of what it is and why start it. Beth,
Yeah.
you want to answer that?
Yeah. So, Candy and I have certainly been asked that question a lot. And as we did the brand expansion last year, the people that know and love us have asked that question the very same way. And I think businesses grow. If they're good, they grow and they evolve. And I believe that that's what we've done. At Trainertainment, we are so niched, beautifully so, in the family entertainment and the hospitality industry. And we're never going to not do that because, like you said, Denise, we so at our core, I mean, one of our core values is we believe in being in service to others. I've gone on record many times to say that I think the world would be a better place if we all got it. That's why we're here. It is to serve one another. And it just seemed like it was time for Trainertainment to take on its grown up persona, if you will, and that we had gotten bigger than just the hospitality industry. We do a ton of sales coaching. That's really the foundation and what the company was built on, was sales and service. And we got so engaged in working with entrepreneurs and doing business coaching that sales coaching and the business coaching piece really spans all businesses, and that Trainertainment seemed to, in a way, keep us from communicating our our services and what we do to the world at large. And it's crazy because with the brand expansion, it seemed like our entertainment community better understands today what we do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what kind of marketer am I? Obviously, not a great one. I'm a very good salesperson, maybe not a great marketer. They're both different. I don't know, Candy, what would you say?
I would say that the Growth Pro group really came about from listening to our clients. Uh, I started in 2019, but have been very closely connected to Trainertainment for years before that. And I saw it even before I came on that people didn't just ask Trainertainment about training. So at the
Right.
heart of what they were asking about is growth, sales growth, leadership growth, team growth, birthday growth, event growth. So that's what they were really asking about. And so Trainertainment has always been solving those pieces of the puzzle incredibly well, but it wasn't just training. We kept
Right.
seeing clients that needed more than one solution. We have, over the years, Beth has done a great job at listening to the needs of the clients and creating products and services that really address those needs. But then the Growth Pro group is born so that we can meet businesses where they are and support them more holistically, not just from a training aspect, which is what the
Right.
Trainertainment name kind of insinuates, even though we had grown past that. So it's not just in one department, but across the entire organization, we can help. So it's not just about training your frontline staff anymore. Um, and so what we want to do by becoming the Growth Pro group is being a true growth partner. One brand, you have us, you have multiple pathways. We have Trainertainment, that's the division, and we'll talk about how it's not going away. It's the foundation of where we are. But then we'll have Sales Pro and Exec Pro. So it gives us flexibility to serve more people without forcing a one size fits all solution at them.
That's
And
great.
that's something that is truly an important part of this, that
Mhm.
the things that we've been working on, Trainertainment just celebrated its 20th anniversary last year, which is extraordinary. But with the services that we provided with our clients through the years is about developing leadership from executive level that have been, being an executive for 20, 30, 40 years to those brand new executives and leaders to those mid-level managers. It's about developing people where they're at and helping them to grow. It's about taking sales teams from sales teams that are brand new. I've never sold anything professionally a day in my life to those that have been selling for a significant amount of time and helping them grow.
Yeah.
It's about taking businesses and helping them with their strategic planning and helping them move forward, unified together as a team in their business, while helping with that accountability piece. And all of those things that we do and have worked with our clients with and developed through the years, as Candi perfectly said, by listening to what our clients need and figuring out how to help them,
Yep.
that expansion into an area beyond just the entertainment and hospitality industry, those are things that every business in America deals with. And those are
Mhm.
challenges that they have. And I was super excited about the idea of expanding into the Growth Pro group because while yes, we are still training, we're still helping, we're still growing, but it's that opportunity to help more people, which
It,
is at the core of what our business is.
I
it
think
is.
for me, the focus is it takes a training is important, but training is part of growth. And so it's the focus away from training as a singular thing to supporting growth as a multifaceted thing.
Mhm.
Well, it's crazy because what we realized is that in the name alone, it suggested that we did training, and a lot of times people think of training as a one-time deal, and I'll tell you,
Very
training,
singular. You
yeah,
come, you
and
leave.
yeah, and training is not and should not be a one-time deal. And what we really got our heads wrapped around is that where we have the most success, where we have the most impact, where we how we built the company is to coach. And those have been in ongoing relationships with clients. We have clients that used us years ago that they know and don't even think twice to say, hey, we need a tune up, sign us up. We have new folks. And uh, Kenny had a client. Kenny had a client one time who literally said, we've learned more in the last 3 weeks. She'd gone on site to train and kick off a business coaching group, and that had 3 weeks of training. And this guy who's an experienced guy in business, entrepreneur forever and ever, he said, we've learned more in the last 3 weeks than I have in the last 30 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so when you get to do that kind of work, it's like, yeah, sign me up. I want to do that. I want to do that, and I want to keep doing that, and I want to do it in a big way. And Growth Pro just gives us the opportunity because we don't know everything about every form of coaching, and and there's a ton of coaches out there that have expertise in strength finders and Kobe and all kinds of things. And this gives us an opportunity to even gather some of those folks up who may not know how to do business, but maybe they'll want to be a part of our organization. I don't know. What do you think, Candi?
I think the switch is needed because it's not that we grew beyond a I
No.
want to be clear that we didn't grow beyond an industry. We didn't grow beyond the principles that we already given. We grew beyond a name because like Beth just mentioned, when people said trainertainment, I mean, the immediate thing is so you train for entertainment industry.
Right.
And that was the connection. It was nothing more than training. And it was hard to get people to understand sometimes um, that through our evolution, we offered so much more.
Yeah.
And to that point, right, we're not Taylor Swift. Remember when she said, I'm not going to do country anymore, I'm going to do pop? And a lot of people were really upset. We're still doing country and pop, right?
Oh, we
We
are. We
are
are. We are.
expanding,
That's
but
right.
not
Yeah.
leaving behind.
I like to say it's an evolution, not an abandonment.
That,
And I think it's really important to clearly state for everyone who's been a fan of ours for the last 20 years, True Entertainment's not going
not
anywhere.
going.
It's our foundation, it's our heart, it is our legacy.
That's right. That's right.
And the same inspiration that started Trainertainment is the inspiration that led to the evolution into the Growth Pro group, right? Beth, can you start a little bit about why you started Trainertainment 20 years ago?
Yeah, so I fell in love with the industry. I always tease because I fell in love with the game of bowling and figured out that it was easier to make money working instead of bowling. I'm a pretty good bowler, but I was never going to get rich doing that. And I don't know that I'm rich today, but I'm rich. I'm rich in relationships and in life. That's for darn sure. But what happened is I went to work on location. I got a ton of experience with group and event planning, birthdays, big corporate company parties, that sort of thing. Morphed into selling capital equipment. I sold debit card systems when debit card systems were not cool. I knew the day would come when everybody would have to have the systems, but I was a friend of mine said, "Oh, you were a pioneer," but we all know pioneers are the ones that were face down on the ground with the arrows in their back. So, you know, I paid my dues and I learned a lot about opening new locations and got my feet wet across the country and developed a ton of relationships and figured out had what Michael Gerber refers to as an entrepreneurial seizure that people were buying $100,000 pieces of equipment from me because I was going on site and helping them with their event and their groups and about how to make money with those card systems and how they could grow their business. And I wound up helping their sales teams. And I just thought, you know what? Why don't I just do that? Because if it doesn't work, then it's on me, and I can take that on. And I was lucky. I was so lucky because I had a lot of really good relationships in the industry, and people trusted me. They knew me. They didn't know me because I had a company, but I had been in sales for a long time. I'd been 10 years in the industry, and so I had a reputation and some relationships, and those people believed in what I was doing. I have no idea. You know, I look back and partly I think, well, I just made a company to teach people how to be nice to each other. You know, because that's what great service is, helping people, being kind to one another. And when we're going out and doing recreation and things like that, we want to have fun. Well, I am an expert at having fun. And I just I was lucky. People There were plenty of important people that believed in me and gave me a shot and let me practice systems, and they paid me to do it. They paid me to create systems and processes, and then I met great people who said, "Hey, can I come do that with you?" And yeah, I've been very lucky, I think. So
And yeah, that evolution from starting there and listening to people,
yeah,
listening to the amazing folks that we get to work with, what are
yeah,
their challenges, us on the team collaborating with each other, and gosh, this group that I'm working with is having this issue. Oh, ours is too.
uh-huh.
Oh, so is this group that I'm working with. Oh, hey, maybe there's a pattern here. Maybe there's a bigger solution that we can work towards to try to help. You know, that was the genesis of our leadership pro exec training. That was the genesis of the group sales training. That
Yeah,
was the genesis of so many different things that we work on are because these are the needs that our clients have. So that
yeah,
evolution to now the Growth Pro, Candi, you said it so beautifully. We outgrew the name.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. We didn't outgrow any of our principles.
no,
What Beth said is like people bought from her the capital equipment because she came in and trained. Not, she didn't just train. So I think she's selling herself a bit short there. She trained in a way that was fun and that was practical, and it was
good.
delivered by somebody who cared and wanted to understand where they were at that moment in the business journey, wherever they were. That's the ultimate principle that Trainertainment has, is that we want to provide, solutions that are fun, that stick around, that are practical, and that meet you where you are and aren't prescriptive. We are intentional learners here at the Growth Pro Group, and so we follow a whole lot of different frameworks and structures. And what we sometimes even find is that many of them are prescriptive. This will work for any business, regardless of where you are. And where we learn a lot from a lot of those frameworks, it's not where we want to do business. We want to meet you where you are in your business journey and then provide practical solutions for you. And that's always been the heart of Trainertainment. As we just heard, it's the heart of why Beth had started it. So that those principles didn't change. What's changing is the reach because look, I come from franchising where I worked for a parent company that had children's entertainment. We dabbled in retail. We had lots of different types of restaurants from sit down to fast casual and all of that stuff. Business, a lot of the same principles that work in bowling centers, family entertainment centers, attractions, they'll work in other industries. Sales is sales, leadership is leadership, and more importantly, and where we like to focus is people are people. And so the
Yes.
principles we've learned along the way can apply to a greater reach than what we've been attempting at.
I think for one thing that stands out for me is the curiosity piece. I never I remember saying to lots of people that were close to me that if I ever sounded like I knew it all, if I ever had a hint of arrogance, I wanted them to slap me. Because the thing is we cannot, I'm so glad you mentioned the intentional learning thing, because we could not be a growth company, we could not be an education company, we could not be a training company if we weren't voracious learners. I just think it would be so arrogant because things move, things change, things are different today than they were 20 years ago. And Candi, she I was so lucky because in her previous life, they hired us and I got to work real closely with her. And so I always was like, hey, one day, if you ever change your mind about what you're doing, please call me first. And she did. And I feel super, super lucky to have had that happen. Same with you, Denise. I think I talked to you 20 years ago practically about
Mhm.
coming to work with us, and finally here you are, 20 years later. But Candi, it tickles me because what do you tell somebody who comes to work with us new that when they go and train, if they go out on site, what's going to happen? How do you coach them? Because you know what I'm going to ask them. Because it's not going to be how did it go, right? How do you
Now,
coach them?
what did you learn is going to be the question. As soon as you get back and you're like, hey, I just left, it could be anything. My 2 day kickoff, my on-site, my job fair auditions, it could be anything. And the first thing she's going to be like, well, she'll say, did you have a good day? And what did you learn? So
Yeah.
be prepared for it every time.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's the thing is I want to know. I want to. There's something for us to know from every single experience that we have, every single coaching call. There's something to know. There's something to learn, and I think that if we're paying attention to that, we're always going to stay at the forefront. We're always going to keep growing because if we don't grow, how are we going to help other people grow?
Mhm.
In my opinion. So,
Yeah. And in the last couple of minutes that we have together, I want to talk a little bit about why it's important. And it's important to step outside of your company, your group, to get that help. I
mm,
always like to tell people here, we have our own coach that is
yes,
not a member of our team.
yep.
Why is it important?
Don't tell Linda that. I think she thinks she is a member of our team. Okay.
Well, I mean, we like to believe, I say we all the
Yes.
time when I'm working with groups that I work with because I'm a part of their team
Yeah,
too,
that's
right?
right. That's right.
It's a we, but having that outside eye to be able to help with that growth process, whether it's leadership, whether it is sales coaching, whether it's business coaching, right? That why it's important to have that outside perspective, Candy.
Um, the biggest barrier to growth in every industry is people. And I don't mean that in a negative way. People are also our greatest opportunity to
Yes.
grow our business as well. Um, we've talked, we know tons of business leaders, and most companies don't struggle because they lack ideas. If you let them talk, they'll tell you 20,000 ideas, in a minute. Sometimes it seems like it's flying through their brains. They struggle because they lack alignment, clarity, accountability, confidence in their teams. Maybe they're stretched thin. We know that happens a lot too, especially in the seasonality of some industries. Managers sometimes are promoted without training.
Yeah.
Teams are expected to just figure it out. But when you're in when I was a server, we used to call it in the weeds. When you're in the weeds of all of that, it's hard to change that perspective. It's hard to
Oh.
see the few steps that you could take that would make you work smarter and not harder. And so instead, you keep just running from one thing to the next. And
Hmm.
so that's where getting help matters because an outside perspective they see it clearer. They're not as emotionally attached to it. And so that perspective can change everything with a little bit of guidance, a little bit of coaching and structure. You can stop guessing and you get to start leading with intention instead of chasing fires from one thing to the other. I hated being in the weeds as a server. I always like to pre-plan and think ahead of what I needed to do. And that's because just like having a smooth night or smooth shift, growth doesn't happen by accident. Like
Right.
it happens when leaders invest in the teams that they have, when they ask for support. If you talk to entrepreneurs, Beth always talks about how it's lonely as an entrepreneur. It's lonely at the top because there's less people to talk to. So they need support.
Yeah.
And then you need somebody that helps commit to start to do things better, not just faster, but better. And that's sometimes where an outside support, someone that can brainstorm with you, someone that can see things in a different light, can really bring that small change that can change a whole lot of things.
Yeah. Well said. I think it's interesting because I think potential clients find it crazy that we use an outside coach. This is the kind of work we do. We do annual planning. We're in the throes of tons of annual planning, tons of our, I think all of us are out next week or something,
Mhm.
to help our own client. And so we know how to do it, but there's no way I can sit in a strategic thinking planning seat if I'm running the session. Same with Candi. She's brilliant with process, um, and she could run it perfectly, but she can't ask herself the best questions. Our coach can ask us the hard questions, the curious questions. She knows when to turn the fire up a little bit. She knows when to help us take a break because we need to take a break. And you can't get that without somebody who's not uh, financially invested, emotionally invested. That's what a coach can do. And not that we as coaches aren't invested. We are absolutely invested in the outcomes and things like that, but we can just hear it. We can hear things that that can validate what you think, or that can reframe and question. And I do think it's always interesting to work with somebody who's thinking about using a coach and things like that. That they realize, oh, the coach has a coach. Well, duh. We always practice what we preach. Always.
Yeah.
So,
And and for me, it's also when you're in it,
yeah,
you see this, right? This is
that's
what
right.
you see.
That's
You
right.
are, whether consciously or subconsciously, you are limited to the historical knowledge that you
Yeah.
have,
Yeah. Yeah.
which makes it a lot harder to think beyond that or
Oh
outside
yeah.
of the box. It's harder to get a larger, bigger perspective when you're in it.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so the value of having somebody that can come in and has gone through so many different experiences with different businesses and in different industries and can listen
Yeah.
and can help knowing your core values, knowing where you want to get to, help you see a different path or guide you to a process that's going to get you there.
Yeah.
That I think when you're in it, it's really challenging to do.
Yeah.
Not just that, you're held back by your own limiting beliefs about your historical knowledge. In franchising, it's always fun when franchisees came in and bought existing locations and then have an idea. I'm going to do this promotion. And the franchise or franchisee that they were buying from would be like, oh, we've done that, it didn't work. And the moment they left, I would always say, try it. You have a different perspective, you have a different vantage point, you have a different view of it, vision of what it can be. Don't let them tell you not to just because of that. Like try it. And so that's what an outside perspective or a new perspective can give you is there's another way to do it. And just because it didn't work in the past, a few tweaks may give you a success.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely. Well, ladies, I am so excited to have you guys as our very first guest on the Growth Pro Edge, our new podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your insight. And thank you for your inspiration, not just to me and to our team, but to all of the fabulous folks that we get to work with. And I'm so excited about this new podcast. I'm so excited
Me
about
too.
this
Thank
new
you.
expansion.
Yes.
And thanks for being here to start off our new year.
Thank you, Thank you, Denise. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to Beth and Candi. You can see how inspiring they are to our team and to those that we have the opportunity to work with. Their vision and their dedication to others is something that is so encouraging, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the organization with those two incredible women leading the charge. So, thank you again for joining us for our very first episode of the Growth Pro Edge. We also want to thank our 2026 digital sponsors. We appreciate what they do to help us bring you the Growth Pro Edge each and every week. If you have an idea for the Growth Pro Edge or you'd like to be a guest, I would love to hear from you. You can send me an email at denise@thegrowthprogroup.com. Thanks again for tuning in to today's episode of the Growth Pro Edge. And remember that the journey to success is all about growth. And we are committed to helping you and your company thrive. Visit thegrowthprogroup.com to learn how we can support your growth journey for yourself, for your team, and your business by setting up a free growth call with one of our coaches. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.